Those who offended the gods were punished, not by some earthly authority, but by the gods themselves.
There's a Greek word, in fact, desidaimonia, which means fear of the gods, or respect for the gods. And this was a positive thing. Life was felt to be fairly precarious, and you needed to do everything you could to get whatever powers ruled the world on your side, to keep safe. Many of them lived one drought away from starvation, and you just didn't mess around with the world like that.
One of the things I love about Greek myth is it never lets people off the hook. It never says, this happened because the gods made it happen. It's our fault if we can just understand why. It's sort of I think, a difficult world to exist in.
In a difficult world, people often look for a hero, someone to bring deliverance from a life seemingly filled with adversity. Some believe a child born of a Greek god and an earthly woman prefigures the appearance of Christ. Two of the greatest figures in Greek mythology shed light on ancient Greek thinking, on fate versus free will. One of the most famous figures in Greek mythology may have helped pave the way for a later event, pivotal in human history. Heracles, better known as Hercules, was born because the great god Zeus lusted for a beautiful mortal woman. She, however, was a faithful wife. Zeus took on the appearance of her husband and deceived her. The outrage was compounded by the fact that Zeus was married to one of his sisters, Hera.
The notion that the gods are not always ethical, not always honest, is also one that makes sense when you think about it. And the Greeks seem to have been comfortable with it for many centuries. It makes sense because if the gods are humans, but better off somehow, more strong, more powerful, immortal, they never have to take the consequences of anything they do, whereas humans do. The burden of acting ethically, of thinking about consequences, falls on human beings, not on gods.
Unable to vent her anger upon Zeus, Hera turned her wrath on the child born from her husband's infidelity. Heracles is perhaps the most famous Greek hero, a figure particularly important in Greek mythology. Even in his infancy, Heracles was endowed with extraordinary strength. Hera sent deadly serpents to his cradle. Heracles strangled them both.
Many of the Greek heroes did in fact have one divine parent and one mortal parent. More generally, a hero was a man of more than normal strength, who was somehow marked out for a life of achievement, but also a life of enormous difficulty. They were very difficult to integrate into society precisely because of their great capacities.
The vengeful Hera continues to pursue her husband's illegitimate son throughout his life, periodically driving him into fits of anger and madness. Deeply regretting the murders and other crimes he commits during these fits, Heracles undertakes great tasks of repentance, often the killing of tyrants and monsters. At the end of his life, Heracles was granted immortality and taken by his father Zeus to live with him on Mount Olympus. The story of Heracles may have paved the way for the Apostle Paul. Centuries later, he would bring word of a new faith to the Greeks.
They had a story of a son of God, Heracles, who suffered and died and then went through an apotheosis, himself went up to Olympus. And so the story of another son of God who suffered and died and went to heaven would not be all that unfamiliar. In the same way, the notion that a God could take on human form and look exactly like one of us was completely acceptable to a pagan Greek audience. And so early Christianity proceeded in Greece and struck roots in Greece quite easily.
Not quite a Christ figure, but elements of that, because it was someone who through toil and suffering and labor and loyalty achieved divinity.
While Heracles is unique, he is only one of many heroes who walked among the Greeks. There are Achilles and Ulysses, the great warriors of the Trojan War, and Theseus, whose feats included killing the dreaded Minotaur, the creature that feasted on the flesh of Greek youths. But heroes did not have to be offspring of the gods, nor were they necessarily heroic in today's terms, risking grave danger for the sake of others. For the ancient Greeks, a hero was someone who broke the bonds of ordinary life, regardless of consequence.
It's not necessary that a hero be descended from a god or a goddess. It's not necessary that a hero even do something good in life. And so achievement is more doing something extraordinary and being recognized for it. Now, the extraordinary thing that a hero could do could even be killing a number of the enemy or killing people in his own community in such a strange fashion that the gods have to be consulted. So the heroes are dangerous, unusual individuals, extraordinary but not necessarily extraordinarily good.
Heroes really are a projection of what it is to be human on a large scale. They really focus both the great potential of human beings at their best and also the vulnerabilities of humans.
One unlikely hero is Oedipus. He killed his father and married his mother. Having fulfilled his terrible fate, Oedipus then blinded himself and sought redemption. It's a story with a timeless quality, speaking to the darker side of feelings between parents and their children.
I think there definitely was a thread of Greek culture and of Greek mythology which was interested in the conflict between father and son. Obviously, Sigmund Freud saw this and picked up on it in the story of the Oedipus and the Oedipus complex. And I think there was a thread of generational conflict that the Greeks actually feared but recognized as real at the same time.
The story of Oedipus and his parents raises another question. Are the lives of humans preordained? Or do humans have the power to exercise free will?
Oedipus is someone who, for no reason ever given, has this fate that he will kill his father and marry his mother. When Oedipus has realized that he is not the son of the king of Corinth, as he thought he was, he says, I count myself the child of chance. And by chance, he means something very random. There is no plan. By the end of the play, it's turned out that everything he has ever done has fit into a plan. And that if he is the child of chance, it's chance in the sense that closely allied to fate.
He, Oedipus, the man, made choices.